Hello everyone, I am Devleena, your host, welcoming you all to another exciting episode of Icons Behind Brands video interview series where we are talking to some preeminent figures in the marketing industry and getting a lot of insights from them. And on today's episode, we have a guest who has over 25 years of experience working across leading organizations like Bharti Airtel, Tata Teleservices, Wallace, Videocon, Bennett Coleman, Biocon, Daewoo Motors, and whose career has been replete with launching many leading FMCG brands like Airtel, Royal Challenge, Matiz, Tata Indicom, Videocon, Sansui, Kenwood. I welcome Mr. Atul Raja, Executive Vice President, Global Marketing, Wadhwani Foundation. A warm welcome to you, Atul.
Thank you, Devleena, and it's a pleasure to be on your show.
Pleasure is all ours, Atul. We are elated to have you here on Icons Behind Brand with such vast experience. I mean, you are into mentoring, you are into like so many things in marketing, and over 2 decades of experience. We would love to know about your journey and background too, Atul.
I have been a career marketer with close to 3 decades of experience across a spectrum of industries, from telecom to FMCG to consumer durables. I started my career with the Times of India years back as a management trainee, and then from then onwards it's been a roller coaster. I've worked with organizations like Wallace, as you said, Daewoo Motors, Videocon, the Tatas, Airtel, and the last decade plus has been in leadership positions. So in a nutshell, what I would like to say is that it's been a cross-industrial and a sector-agnostic experience with a slew of brand launches and a highlight that has provided me with diverse learnings.
So it's a huge experience, and I'm sure this is just a nutshell, as you said, right? So we will talk about your journey, especially as a leader and as a marketer here. Experience in different domains, different industry. So let us know a difference in strategy between an FMCG brand versus a consumer durable brands.
From a marketer's point of view, there are 2 key elements in consumer, or what we call as B2C marketing. One is the retail element and the other is the product feature aspect. And both these things are actually focus areas in both FMCG and FMCD marketing, as we see. So it's interesting that we are trying to call out the differences here. Among these overarching similarities, there are strategic differences, right? So let's take the FMCG marketing first, right? FMCG marketing has a hugely product-led focus, and it focuses on certain key elements, certain marketing tenets. Say, for example, multi-branding, where competing products from the same banner vie with each other for consumer space, for consumer shelf space, mind space, for market share. So this is what leads to cumulative market leadership, where a group of brands come into play and cumulatively they outdo the competition. So that multi-branding is a key element in FMCG branding. Another key element is flanking. Now this term has actually come from from the war times. The enemy actually expects you to attack from the front, so they are expecting you to come from the front, whereas you flank them, so, and then you surprise them. So the flanking strategy is about a package or a product line in different categories, different volumes, right? Say, for example, Adidas. From a consumer perspective, many consumers may walk into an Adidas showroom, but they would not know that the entire Adidas product line is divided into 3 parts. One is the performance vertical, the other is the original or the classic vertical, and the third is the lifestyle vertical, right? So, internally within the organization, there is a pricing, there is a target audience, segregation, and there is a communication segregation. So within these three verticals, they have hundreds of products, and not more to very, a customer who walks in the showroom, they're having different strategies to attack all the three different verticals. Then there are product extensions, which are very important in FMCG-led marketing. Let me exemplify this. Gillette started with razor blades, right? Then it ventured into shaving foams. So this is a typical product extension-led strategy. Apple started from personal computers, then it went into MP3 players, and then today we know Apple only for iPhones, right? So similarly, if you see Dyson, it's all known for its vacuum cleaners, but then it has ventured into desk lamps as well. So these are typical product extension strategies that expand your market, expand your customer base, and hence expand your revenue, and hence expand your profitability, right? The fourth and the final element that I'd like to point out in FMCG strategies, the very concept of PLC. So all of us know that the shelf life of a product, FMCG product, is very little, right? So how do the organizations look at their phasing out their old product lines and come up with, quote unquote, you'll be seeing a lot of ads that say new and improved, right? It's all about, taking the PLC issue by its horns and trying to address customer fatigue by adding small features and things like the Procter & Gamble's Tide detergent. If you see, over the years, I have personally seen so many variants of the Tide. The moment you start getting bored with one Tide detergent powder, there is something else new and improved. They'll talk about some other ingredient added to make it more potent and more effective and things like that. So this is all about FMCG-led marketing. Now, if you go into FMCD, now within the similarities of focus areas, FMCD has a lot of focus on price, right? Whereas in FMCG, I talked to you about extreme focus on product and product features, right? There are cost-based strategies. Within cost-based strategies, there will be a penetration strategy. Say, for example, you may price your product, very cost-effectively, simply because you want to enter into a cluttered market, right? So you price it, and then once you have some kind of a foothold in the market, you may want to increase the product. On the other hand is a skimming strategy, typically what Apple does, right? Where you skim the price. So when you enter, you have a very high price, because there is a product novelty. So if Apple iPhone variant is coming out, it will be priced, right? And as and when, new variants come out, that current price keeps going down of the old variant. So that's a skimming strategy. You enter the market with a high price, and then over a period of time, you lower your price, right? So both your new and old products keep selling that way. Another element is the demand-based strategies. FMCD sector is hugely dependent on demand elasticity, right? Let me give you the example of the automobile sector. If you just drop, the price of any automotive or automobile by even a small percentage, it's likely to have a high impact on sales, right? So the demand elasticity of this FMCD sector is very high. On the other hand, let's take the example of a microwave oven or a coffee mending machine. Let's compare them. If you decrease the price of the oven, the number of units to be sold may multiply manifold, right? But if you do that with the coffee vending machine, that's not likely to happen because the demand elasticity is low in that case. So these are two things. And finally, in the FMCG sector, and this comes out of my personal experience in working with organizations like Videocon, the retailer plays a huge role in your, selling your brand. So in essence, the retailer is an influencer in this case. Say, for example, you enter a Chroma showroom, or you enter a Reliance Digital showroom, or you want to buy a laptop or even a television, and you are zeroing down upon one product, and the retailer walks up to you and he says, listen, you're seeing this, but at a similar value, similar price, there is a much better product available, right? And this is an old model that you are seeing. So in all probability, you are likely to discard what you are going to buy, and you are going to, the retailer influences you. You may not know, you never know that the retailer actually maybe getting a high commission on the product that he's pushing to you, right? So but the point remains that retailer is an influencer. So these are key differences that drive marketing strategies between FMCG line, product line, and a FMCD product line. So I hope I could explain this.
Yes, Atul, thank you for bringing out such minute observations and points in both the categories, FMCG and FMCD. Both are like very, very important categories in any marketer's life, right? We talk a lot about content marketing strategies as well, right? So how did you use content marketing to keep up your conversations with your customers? And what were the key points that you kept in your mind all along?
First thing that comes to my mind is frequency is absolutely critical in today's time. There is so much clutter out there that if you don't churn out content on a regular basis, you are likely to get lost, because in a cluttered market, visibility becomes of utmost importance, right? So you need to churn out, whether it is curated or created content, with a very high degree of frequency. That's one of the things this is essential. Secondly, as a content tool, today I think blogging is most important. If your organization is into SEO, then today I feel the latest Google algorithms give maximum weightage to blogging. If you're looking to have engaging conversations with your customers, then blogging is right up there in the list. If you're looking for thought leadership and creating, a leader kind of a matrix, then again, blogging is a thought leader medium. So it's absolutely important, either through professionals or either through in-company marketing team or copywriters. Organizations should definitely look at blogging aggressively, and that's what we do. Third is the biggest thing I feel that is coming up now in the field of content, which is podcasting, right? Okay. Podcasting-led content has seen meteoric rise. I was just going through a PwC report recently, and I was actually surprised to see the figures that India is the third largest consumer of podcasts after US and China today. And it was amazing, and you won't believe it, that India today has 58 million listeners per month. So that's the kind of podcasting reach that is coming in. So also KPMG has gone on to add something very significant here. In the pandemic times, from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic times, say from 2019 end to 2020 end, the podcasting market in India has risen by 30%, right? The pandemic has actually served to accelerate it, right? And it is currently a big city phenomena, but you will be surprised to know that 75 cities in India are currently showing 2,000 plus downloads per month. So that's where it is going, and it is exploding actually. So we are using podcasting heavily, and I would urge everybody not to ignore podcasting, because it is, as I said, the next big thing in content, right? Involvement-led content is very important. One should always focus on polls, contests, quizzes, because that is what actually involves your target audience into your own activity, right? Otherwise, on many occasions, it becomes a one-sided or a one-way communication. Personalization is absolutely important. I mean, whether you're using email and WhatsApp or whatever, the tone and tenor of your communication in these cases should be as personalized as possible, right? The final thing I would like to say in the how part here is always look at close looping the customer feedback loop, right? Because then only you can speak the language of the consumer by understanding what the consumer is saying, what it wants to hear, what it wants to read, and then you tailor make your communication accordingly. So in essence, you are actually not shouting from the rooftop that this is what I want to say. You are actually telling the customers what they want to hear. So this is part one of your question as to how part. Now the second part of the question is what are the key pointers for executing ideal and engaging content marketing? That's how I understood it, right? So I personally feel that you should keep the customer at the center of your communication always, right? If you have case studies, if you have testimonials, if you have success stories, right? You should always elucidate your point of view through the eyes of the customer, right? That has an electric impact on a very ambient audience rather than again saying it yourself. Secondly, you should be where your customers are. So the efforts will never be duplicated. Your bandwidth will be laser sharp, and so you get a very captive audience if you know where your customers are. And I feel every marketer should have this at the back of his hand. What is the target audience? Not just what is the profile of the target audience and SEC and all that kind of stuff, but also what your target audience likes, dislikes, which platforms it patronizes, right? So you can then be at the right place. And if you are at the right place, your communication will be targeted in the right manner. Say, for example, your communication in LinkedIn for one particular issue will have a very different language and tone and tenor to it than your communication on Facebook for the same problem, challenge, or issue. Because you are dealing with two target audiences that may be two categories of your target audiences that may be residing in two platforms, right? Thirdly, a favorite subject of mine, the quality is of utmost importance, right? Always focus on quality over quantity. I mean, it's pointless bombarding people with, say, 10 blogs a month. Whereas if you know your quality is suffering, if you are able to do 2 quality blogs a month, rather than doing 10 blogs without paying too much attention to the quality, it's always better to go by the quality because it is a sustainable approach. It pays you in the long run. Also, you need to leverage consumer intelligence. That's the final point I want to make, right? You need to understand and you can pinpoint a specific touch points from a marketeer angle. Like every touch point gives you an opportunity to better understand your consumer needs, to deliver a more personalized experience, right? Let me give you 2 separate examples, what I'm trying to say here. One is from the angle of a owned platform by an organization, right? And one is from the angle of a social media. So let's take Zerodha is a financial services company. It's I believe it's either a Sonicon or a Unicorn now, and it offers retail brokerage. It offers product lines like commodities trading and all that. So what they have done is on their own platform, they have started something called a Varsity, which is a content hub, which educates their own customers or their own stakeholders. So where they teach things like introduction to stock market, about markets and taxation and things like that, right? So in January, I was seeing the figures. In January of 2022, or perhaps in the end of 2021, they were hitting 224,000 customers hits per footfalls per month on their website. This is what, so some of them may be outside the content hub. But see what any content-led initiative, which is indirectly related, not directly related to your business objectives, see what it could do to the footfalls and the consumer engagement, right? Similarly, you see the example of Zomato, right? Zomato has close to 2.5 million followers on Facebook. It has close to 2 million followers it has close to 600,000 followers on Instagram, right? And it has close to 1.5 million followers on Twitter. Now, this kind of reach is phenomenal, right? Now, it makes very interesting, like what does Zomato do, right? At the end of the day, it's a food delivery chain. And then, our customers so interested just go and they can always go to the app and just order whatever they want. Why are they so much on the social handles of this particular organization? So if you see their content, right, they use wit and humor, number one, very aggressively. So makes it very interesting. If you see their content, they use leverage the cultural aspects very, very, in a very, you can say, apt manner. They don't miss out on any such opportunity if it's a festival or whatever. Even if they are giving a brand offer, they'll do it with a lot of wit, humor, and they might, even be sarcastic on themselves, right? So what is the learning here? The learning here is simple, that, if you are actually going to communicate to your customers, you need not just communicate it in a very promotional manner. If you communicate it in a very entertaining manner, or very entertaining, or a very different kind of a learning phenomena, it really touches a chord with the customers, right? So I gave you two examples. One is in-company platform and one is a social platform. How content is actually helping these two organizations to make engaging conversations and get great followership.
Yes, Atul, and it was a detailed, discussion on the content marketing side from your side.
Yeah.
And the most important thing which I am taking from this conversation in terms of content is that you just don't have to behave like an organization who is talking to the customer. It has to be a very personalized communication who is the customer should feel that this is just for me. It's just one-to-one. A human is talking to another human. In that manner, how a human mind likes the humor, the knowledge, or some entertainment. This is what every human mind seeks. So
yes,
provide that engagement to your customers, and that is how you are actually taking the mind space and
yes,
followers, whatever you can, right?
Yeah.
A very important thing which you have pointed out, it should not be a one-way conversation, you're just going and shouting about your promotion and all. It is about listening what exactly they want, and that is how you are customizing and crafting your content strategy here. So
sure. Yeah.
Very thoughtful strategy should be there in the content, and thank you for bringing out such detailed points here, Atul.
Sure.
So now, as we have drastically moved into the technology side, in fact the digital adoption from the consumer and the marketing teams also, we have a huge impact of technology in marketing and in the adoption as well. So how do you see the influence of technology changing the advertising part?
Yeah. So it's interesting that you're bringing out this, because just before that you were talking about that every consumer needs to feel that the communication is directed to me, right? Not to a larger audience at scale. So your question is very relevant because, this is what technology can do. It can reach out to, as many consumers on a more customized basis as possible, with laser sharp communication tailor-made to very specific audiences, or in some cases to individual audiences as well. And this is a hot button topic actually in marketing, and the emerging partnership between technology and marketing is building newfound capabilities into marketing actually. Question was about advertising. Let me talk about marketing, because at the end of the day, advertising is a major subset of marketing, right? So just building upon what you said, let me give you an example, right? In October of 2021, it was a Cadbury campaign that caught my attention. It was called as Not Just Cadbury ad, right? And it blended Shah Rukh Khan's image and voice using AI to create customized ads for local retailers, local shops, by directly naming them. So if there is a Kirana shop called XYZ, say in a street in Coimbatore, Shah Rukh Khan would be naming that shop's name and that ad would be playing in that shop, right? This is what AI can do, and the idea to promote a local business when they had taken big hit during the pandemic really struck a chord. It was widely appreciated. Also from a creative angle, this level of hyper personalization actually took the campaign viral, right? So this is what AI level innovation and technology can do to marketing. And again, I'm coming back to your example. See how each and every communication went to each and every retailer level, right? In every nook and corner of the country. So this was a first of its kind attempt, and the campaign went viral and it became a case study. Right? So in essence, what are we talking about here? We're talking about two defining things. One is how new age advertising and marketing is developing a deep understanding of the tech, right? And through it, you get meaningful customer relationships. You are developing a friction-free cross-channel experience for customers, right? Secondly, very important, it is actually developing unified analytics versus channel-wide. So when you are using tech, you are getting an elevated level of strategic measurement of the customer, his profile, and of the market and the market profile, right? So you are getting a much more holistic view of the consumer, right? So these are two defining things that technology is actually doing to marketing. And if you see, tech-related elements have exploded in the marketing domain. And there are hundreds of such examples, but being into marketing and closely following this space, I personally feel there are top five developments that are taking place that I would quickly like to touch upon, and not to belittle that some other developments may have happened, but these are my top five, right? So one is obviously the increasing use of chatbots. Today, what is happening is 40% of the organizations globally are using chatbots. But as per estimates, in the coming few years, at least 80% of the organizations will use chatbots, simply because of few reasons. One, it is 24/7. Secondly, the customer trusts the credibility of the communication because it is in-platform communication. It is directly related to the organization rather than a third party or a BPO person giving you some info, which you wonder may be correct or may not be correct, right? So, Bluebot is a chatbot of the Dutch airline KLM. Right. So it has done wonders for consumer engagement for KLM. Over 1.7 million, messages have come on the KLM site from 500,000 passengers through chatbot. And I was also reading a Salesforce estimate. In US, 70% of the organizations are already using chatbots as a matter of habit to communicate with their consumers, and vice versa, most important. The organizations may be having, but 70% of the consumers are also using that, right? So chatbots is a rising phenomenon, and it will grow from here. Second is the rise of voice assistants, right? Yeah, so you may have heard about the Apple Siri and the Alexa, Amazon's Alexa, right? So how fast they are catching up. But the point is, and the more potent point is, if you see some data points, 1/3 of Google searches right now are happening through voice search, right? And see from where they will go from here. Simply, and the logic is absolutely simple. If you need to type, you can type 40 words a minute approximately. But if you want to speak, in a minute, you can speak 160 words. So this is just 4 times, productivity. So 4x productivity you are getting here. So see the difference it makes, see the convenience it gives to consumers. So today I also dial from my phone and Siri comes up. I just say, make a FaceTime audio call to this. And the call is there, the phone is in, away, the headphone is there, and the call is connected and I'm talking through my headphone. It is so convenient, right? I don't have to go to my directory, search that name and dial the phone number, right? So that's one of the key reasons why it's going to rise. Another key reason is, the natural language processing is very advanced. The NLP is so advanced now that, these voice assistants are likely to be more and more accurate and make less and less of mistakes. So as we go ahead, NLP is really getting advanced. So these are 2 reasons where I feel the voice assistants will really come in, and why I'm speaking about from a marketing perspective. See what it does to our SEO strategy, right? We just keep on thinking about the keywords that a Google keyword assistant might give you. But a voice search keyword may be very different from the traditional keywords that a SEO strategy focuses on. So this is the implication of voice search. It's going to be really big. The third thing is also virtual and augmented reality in marketing. It's really catching up. Again, simply because of 2 reasons. One is because the hardware is relatively inexpensive. All you need is a VR, cardboard, Google headset, and say a smartphone. And also many of the VR applications on your smartphone are completely free, right? So that's one reason. The other reason is the very unique virtual reality experience itself, right? It's intuitive, the characters are very relatable. So because of these 2 reasons, it will really catch up. It's already started catching up at retail a lot. I've seen it at Tanishq, where augmented reality kiosks are there, and you can try your jewelry on and see how it looks before you purchase it. Similarly, I saw it at this Lenskart showroom, where the 3D modeling is giving you a 360-degree view of my spectacles. I can see how it will look, so I can choose between 3 and 4, or say all the 3 and 4 are excellent. Let me pick up all the 3 and 4, right? Sephora, if you go to a Sephora outlet, Sephora has a beauty app, so actually you can put a lipstick on or an eyeliner on and see how it looks on your face. So this is what it is. So these are things that I personally feel are going to explode. A couple of more things. One is the imminent coming of Web3, as I see. So Web 1 was the original part of the web when it was launched in the 90s, right? Which was very basic web and everybody was happy with it. Then Web 2.0 came in, which was much more interactive and a lot of improvements came in. Now Web 3 is coming in, right? And Web 3 is actually blockchain based, right? And Web 3 will make a great difference to marketing because Web 2 was a great improvement on Web 1, but there was a critical pain point and everybody reads about it. And that's like the data security and privacy issues in Web 2.0. Whereas the organizations owning the platforms are having absolute right on the data points, right? And this has been debated whether it is ethical and how they can use the data or whether they should use it or not. Web 3, thanks to blockchain, will give more and more power in the hands of the users, right? So data and privacy will no longer be an issue. Usage will increase exponentially, and it's a highly user-centric and engagement-centric model. So the marketeers, in essence, will get much more data points to analyze their consumers and to also analyze their habits and the markets, So previously unobtainable data by the marketeers may seem to be obtainable now once Web 3.0 comes in. A classic example is how consumers, they interact with platforms, with devices, right? So this is absolutely important. And the last is the AI-led hyper-personalization that is coming in. One example I already gave you about Cadbury's. That is AI-led hyper-personalization, where Shah Rukh Khan is virtually spelling out the name of each and every retailer. The second thing is, you can take another example of Starbucks. It's actually using its data on its loyalty program to hyper-personalize data to an extent that it is giving individual offers to customers based on their previous behaviors, previous preferences, previous orders, right? So this is what hyper-personalization, which is primarily based on AI, will actually do to marketing. It can give consumers a fantastic and a very likable experience and give a great tool in the hands of a marketer. So this is how technology can shape marketing, right? So on one side, I talked to you about overview and how it is going to define, and one side I gave you my top 5 as to, and there may be others, but these are my top 5.
Right. And this is something which is always, I feel very fascinated to talk about the technology in marketing, and where, we talk about all the new implementation. Like you said, Shah Rukh Khan's campaign for the Cadbury thing, that was so fascinating, and it was almost like a magical experience for people that Shah Rukh Khan is talking about my store, right? So the kind of magic the technology brings, and marketers use it with creativity. I always feel like talking more and more the AR, VR, and these elements. They're adding a lot of elements in the marketing strategies and styles of marketer. And that is how the whole marketing is getting evolved, right?
Yes.
With that, similar to that line, Atul, I would love to talk about how do you see the future of marketing? How is the Gen Z changing marketing, the next generation?
Yes, so I always feel that, there are key tenets of the Gen Z, right? I don't know about you, but I'm talking about an audience which is way beyond me, right? So I always tend to analyze as to if you're seeing, the youth of today, and if you're, just analyzing their behavior, which is different from yours, right? So it's very important for a marketer to do that. And while we talked about technology and marketing, right, that's all about the importance from a marketeer's angle, because marketing traditionally has not been data-led, right? And data-led marketing can bring a lot of tools and give a laser-sharp effort and to the marketeer in reaching to his target audiences. Also, it can stretch the advertising value of each and every marketing dollar spent. It can also raise the equity of marketing per se in any organization, right? Because whilst the sales team has tangible figures, right, the HR team will have tangible figures and talk about it. Marketing typically has always struggled to showcase how many people you have reached. Within that reach, how many were the engagements? Within that engagement, how many were the clicks? Within the clicks, how many actually were the conversions? So marketing has always struggled. So that's what technology can do to marketing. But here, when we are talking about Gen Z, it's basically more of a qualitative assessment, and then marketing can come in handy vis-a-vis the quantitative that I just talked about. So there are 5 traits that I have observed. One is FOMO element, right? If you see this target audience, they have this fear of missing out on everything. They want to be part of the action all the time, right? And it goes from something very simple to a concert happening in their city, right, to maybe something on a much bigger scale. They don't want to miss out. Right. They don't want to hear about it from their friends. They want to go and attend the concert themselves. So this is one key trait that we should look at. The other is what we actually term in our marketing and programmatic parlance as DIY, the do it yourself syndrome, right? They want to do things on their own. If you want to help them out on anything, they'll say no, they'll do it themselves, right? So that's one key trait that as marketeers we should just keep track of. The third is very important. They love product experience. They would not want to buy anything without getting a very close experience of the product, right? So, they're in 3D modeling or the virtual and augmented reality or whatever I spoke about really come in handy here because, right? And they also love this product feature on Amazon where, if they are buying, say, any tangible product, they can rotate, they can see, and they can do a close-up and see the texture and things like that. And the final 2 things are more qualitative in aspect, which is mobile is their best friend. So you need to have a mobile-friendly marketing approach to them, right? And so say, for example, if you are having an older target audience like a small business house or an SME, right? You may target him through a local print media effort, right, in a tier 2 city. But these are the people who are not going to read the newspaper, right? So you may need to see how to target, whether you need to get into a news app or you need to get into another site, right, where they're surfing on the mobile and things like that. So that defines your efforts. And the final thing is social media is a way of life for them, right? So in essence, social media marketing becomes paramount for them. I talked about a holistic digital experience, the feel of the product before the purchase happens, and then live experience, You may want to attract them through live events at a better time, obviously, and community gatherings, and you may want to take their questions, or you may want to get them into an event where you are having a product page, but there is also some kind of an entertainment page, so that you combine both the 2 together. So I think these 5 features, I think they are actually self-explanatory and no rocket science about it. I think they really go ahead and, define what marketers should do with Gen Z, kind of a Gen Z approach.
Right. Right, and it's like it's clearly defined, the way you have, put down the point, Atul, that, yeah, FOMO is one of the thing which is there, and when you already know your target audience, it's actually pretty easier to target them they need to, through social media, through mobile. And it's very important to understand your customers' journey, what they do all the time, right?
Sure.
Okay. So now, you as a person, like, what are the principles do you rely on during the toughest moments as a professional, Atul?
Yeah, so this is again experiential. It may differ from people to people. What I feel is that you should address the issue head on when there is a challenge, and when the going gets tough, do not wish it away. So that's the one approach that always helps, right? The second is to be absolutely honest. If there is a mistake, admit it. So this is what I always do. And very important, you should call a spade a spade. If you feel that somebody has committed a mistake, you should call that out very clearly, and have a discussion on it, because otherwise, if you don't discuss and talk it out, it's likely to happen again. And the final point is, what I always do is to set your emotions aside in such situations and circumstances. It always helps to be less emotional and more rational.
Right. Very important point here, as a professional, to manage, because as a leader, and you are also a human being, so you also have the same traits which others have, right? But managing those traits which is coming, and responding it in a right way, that is what a leader's responsibility is, for themselves and for the team, both.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So with that, Atul, now we are moving to a section which is a rapid fire round, where you need to answer in one word, or as minimum as possible, maybe in one sentence. Okay, so this is the section which is going to give an opportunity for the viewers to know, Atul, you as a person, to know a little more closer about you. Yes. So tell us something about you which nobody knows.
That's a difficult question to answer on a public forum, but just to quickly answer, I've been a chain smoker, and I'm answering this, and I left it years back. Very few people can do it. So this is a learning for all the audience. Today, if I see anybody smoking, I walk up to that person and tell him, don't do it. It's going to harm you. Just try and avoid it. And I do it with people whom I don't know also. So I'm a great proponent. I have seen the two sides of the coin, being on the chain smoking side, and the benefits it entails on the other side of the coin.
And that is how you can actually relate to the emotions and the traits which a person has, and you can address it in the right way. And it's a responsibility, Atul. I really respect that. I mean, being a stranger, you go and take a risk of telling them, please don't do. So it's courage, and it's a huge responsibility which you are actually doing it.
Thank you.
Describe yourself in one word.
Passionate.
What motivates you to get out of the bed in the morning?
Fitness.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
Early in the morning or late in the night?
Early morning.
What is one leadership lessons you learned on the go as a people leader?
Walk the talk.
What sort of leader would your team say that you are?
Empowering.
I could, sense it, Atul, through the conversations.
Yes.
Key learnings that you have picked up from your team.
The key learning is that learning is never complete. So you need to constantly learn, and your team actually is the biggest source of learning for you.
Mm-hmm. Learning never ends, like be the student of for life. Right?
So obviously.
One book or podcast you would like to recommend marketers?
Not just marketeers, but including marketeers, I would like to refer the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, the leadership author. It's all about how do you own your morning, how do you elevate your life. So it's all about getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning and how it could transform your life. So, yeah. So I think you should
heard about this book. Yeah. And I follow the bits and parts of this book in Instagram. I follow Robin Sharma. And now I'll probably buy and read the whole book. So Robin Sharma's one book I read, very popular, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari in
Yes, that's his most famous bestseller.
15. And I proudly say that is the turning point of my life. So yes. Perspective has got changed because of that.
And you should read this 5 a.m. Club as well, because it's not just reading. I am a 5 a.m. riser, irrespective of the book, even. So it is my experience, and I can totally relate to the book.
I'm also, I love mornings. I'm also a morning person. So I think it would be very relatable for me as well.
Sure.
I will definitely, I know about this book, but now it's a recommendation. So I'll definitely have a look into that.
Yeah.
So Atul, we are now out of the rapid fire round with that. And before we wind up the conversation, I want you to share your experiential advice to the young managers who are starting out their journey.
Yes. So a couple of things to make it quick. One is that there are no shortcuts. And this is basically for people who are in their formative years in corporate life, who are just entering corporate life. You have to go through the grind. So please go through the grind. And without that, success will elude you. So that is my advice number one. Advice number two, I'll just repeat what I said earlier. Learn, and learn. Learning is an ever-going exercise, never-ending exercise. So keep learning and don't hesitate to ask questions. The best way to learn is to ask questions and learn on the go.
So yes, I'm a firm believer of, there is no shortcut for success. There is the same rule for each and everybody in the whole universe. There is an abundance for everybody, but the only lack is your will. So just, follow that, and the abundance is there. There is the same rule for everyone. No shortcut,
sure.
And keep learning. So
absolutely, yeah.
It was an amazing conversation with you, Atul, and very fine points on each and every questions. Each and every discussion was like sharp and on point on the topic here. And thank you for coming. Thank you. I know how busy you are, and thank you for taking time for us for this show. And it is going to help a lot to the audience who are the young marketers, aspiring business owners, startup owners, and marketers. So thank you for being here, Atul.
It's been a pleasure, Devleena. And maybe next time once again.
Sure. We have a lot, lined up. So
yeah.
I have so many things in mind, and I'm definitely going to speak to you about that and call you for that, Atul.
Yeah, sure.
I had a good time, Atul.
Sure. Thank you so much, and we'll keep in touch.